We should be aware of what's happening. It's very important to believe in the ability of hope and the power of hope and thinking of tomorrow.
Berbeda, kita akan sedikit menggunakan bahasa internasional. Kita akan sedikit menggunakan bahasa Inggris karena kali ini tamunya spesial sekali.
Yes,
ya.
It's a very special guest karena beliau adalah seorang penulis dan juga saksi hidup begitu perjuangan rakyat Palestina ketika Gaza diserang mulai tanggal 7 Oktober 2023 lalu begitu ya.
Betul, dan all the way from Palestine menuju ke detikSore juga. Jadinya it's an honor for us to have this very special person. Jadi kita akan berjumpa langsung dengan penulis dari A Diary of Genocide.
Please welcome
Mr. Atef Abu Saif.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Atef, this is your first time coming to Jakarta, to Indonesia.
Yes, my first time.
And thank you so much for making your time coming here and tell more stories about your book. And especially, this is a memoir. It's your own story. This is what you've been through together with your family back in Palestine.
You wrote this book since the first moment when Palestine got attacked, right?
Yeah, I happened. I was in Gaza when the war started, and I'm a writer. This is what I do. So I was writing every day what happens to me and to my family, to my friends, to my neighborhood. So it's more personal stories about actual life. Or I would say life as it is, not life that you see in the news, Al Jazeera or BBC or CNN, because or any television, because mostly what the news tells is what interests the news itself. But nobody cares about the normal people, what they think, how they fight to find food, how they fight to survive, and so this book tells many of untold stories about the war. The stories of the victims, I would say. Because, in war, we are turned into numbers and figures. And you yourself, you would say, 100 Palestinians killed last night, So this is not 100. It's 100 lives that were lost.
Yeah.
And I also believe that this is not a war at all. This is a genocide that is happening in Palestine. And also, you were there, your family were there. And you saw everything.
I lost 140 something of my family. My father, my mother-in-law, my niece 5 days ago, she was killed. She was 8 years old, and it's a genocide, as you said, And you don't know who's going to live for tomorrow. For this, when I was writing the diary, because I felt that I might die tomorrow. Every minute, you feel you die, So you live life piece by piece, You don't enjoy life, and there is no enjoyment anyway. So when I was writing, I told myself, listen, if I die, people will find something to read about me, not me personally. Of course, authors, we are selfish, We like to talk about our life, but I was talking about all the people around me, their stories, their memories. So it was like, you feel yourself on the mouth of death. You're inside his mouth. And just you think when you're going to jump and to escape. And so every day you live is an extra day for you.
Okay, so most of the books, it's the story that you've been through together with your family and your friends back in Palestine. But what is your main message? I mean, this book is clearly talking about how devastating, how hard it is to live in Palestine. But I believe you have more messages than that.
No, actually, the main message of the book is that we should be aware of what's happening. And for me now, when I look back to the 3 months I lived, or 85 days I lived in Gaza, I think life is very, very precious.
Exactly.
And it's worth fighting for.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, in all the book, every day you find a battle for life. Looking for food, for water, for my kid. I had my kid with me at that time, taking care sometimes of my dad, and the old man. He died later on. So the main message of the book is that life is worth living, and worth fighting for. and that we should not give up. Because, you know, from the second, third day when I saw death everywhere, and the city is demising, and this turned into rubble and destruction, if you lose hope and you give up, then you will die next day. So it's very important to believe in the ability of hope and the power of hope and thinking of tomorrow, of making our life better, even in genocide time, even in a miserable situation like that I passed through. Now it's look, I can say this because I'm out of it.
Yeah.
But even I believed in this when I was there. You know?
Yeah. I'm quite curious about what actually, according to your memory, about was there a particular moment, or maybe the hardest moment that you event?
No, but it's the hardest when somebody dies beside you. Then you think that death was beside you. It was here.
Yeah.
The angel, whatever who is taking his soul, you know, he was beside you. So just you have to imagine how terrified you would be.
Yeah.
Second, one of the main stories, which is in the book, I was living with my friends in their place in Jabalia. Then they were at 3 o'clock in the morning. There was an attack. Then we had to run, you know, to try to rescue people. And my friend, Adham, I spent with him like 40 minutes removing rubble and stones and concrete from above a young man. You know, when we finished, it was his son. Just you got.
Yeah.
You know,
how do you deal? I mean, how your emotion deal with that kind of situation? I mean, along the days.
You don't deal with it, you know, and just you keep thinking of it. You know, I at that night, you know, it was his son.
Yeah.
And he sent his son to stay. He told him, go to stay in one of your friends' places. So it happened that place was hit. So it's, you know, sometimes you have to lie to yourself. Always you have to lie to yourself.
Exactly.
And even talking about hope again is kind of making a better future, thinking of the future, is escaping from the current miserable situation.
Yeah.
So it's always you deceive yourself. And for myself, I was doing this through writing actually. When I write, I read it. Then when I finish my writing, I read it loudly. Then I say, wow, this person who wrote this should be alive. So I'm alive. And many times, you know, you wake up and you tell yourself, what if I'm a dead among the community of deads? What makes you sure? When everybody's dying. So what if I was dead and all the things I see around in Gaza are dead like me? So the only thing that helped me to make sure that I was alive is when I write. So after I write, I read loudly. Then I say, yeah, this is me. Somebody wrote this about me. This body should be. This person should be alive. So it's like, but this is the trick again. You know, we deceive ourselves and we create thinking. We think in different ways in order to convince ourselves that we can cope with it, and we can't actually.
And also, this book finally arrived in Indonesia, and also there is an
Indonesian version of this book.
it, and hopefully more Indonesian read and more aware about what's happening in Palestine.
In Gaza.
Yeah, and also we know that Indonesia and Palestine we have a we are very close by heart.
Emotionally.
We are very close emotionally. But what is your hope for Indonesian readers, for Indonesian that finally get this book, or maybe just to make them read this book? What is your hope for them after them reading this?
Let's remember that the main hospital in North Gaza where I live is the Indonesian hospital. It's called the Indonesian hospital, and each room is named after an Indonesian city, actually. And they banned it yesterday, the Israelis. The army, they banned it, then they're going to destroy it. Anyway, so, you know, it's very important, even if we know, we should know more. Even if we feel by heart, we should feel by mind, by our mind. And this book helps us to think logically why we should be against the colonial project in Palestine. Why we should stand with the Palestinian people. It's not because we have very historic relations, very old, since 100 years of definitely. But also we have to believe that what is done against the Palestinian is against us as a human. It's not because against us as Muslims or as you know, whatever these are crimes against humanity, and we should be against it, and we should fight in the international community to stand for the right and the justice that should be imposed. And I think that in this sense, we should not forget always that victims are all alike. You know,
this is not your first book to be translated into other language, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel is there any a different interpretation about your book in terms of different cultural to understand about what you write?
Sometimes a book like this you find difficulty to translate it to some languages. You know, like, but some languages are more welcoming. You know. And the discussion, even sometimes the title itself, you have to argue with the publisher. Because they wouldn't. In English, it's genocide, of course. But some European language, they will argue why it's genocide.
Genocide is a quite significant weight.
You know why? Because let's remember, genocide is not killing everyone. It's the intention to kill everyone. So when you close Gaza, North Gaza, and you prevent food and water and medicine, and you destroy the Indonesian hospital, so you want all the patients, the 2,000 patients in the hospital, to die. So this is the intention, even if they don't die, because it's not you who made them alive. It's so you find difficulty sometimes in arguing the title. For this, some titles went differently, and I don't mind myself, you know.
All right.
Because what I mind my words to arrive. I want my stories, not my stories, untold stories of those victims, the hidden stories behind the screens, you know, to be heard of. And this is very important, and people like to be heard of. And sometimes we undermine or belittle the efforts. You say, "Wow, solidarity doesn't matter." No, it matters, because the victims they like to be told about. They like us talking about them now if they see us. Then this will tell them that they're not alone. That even if we couldn't, if we can't change the discourse of history, at least it's not in our name. We say we are Indonesian against this, and we're going to support the Palestinian in all different means. Of course, international agenda, international United Nations, and of course, but when the war finished, definitely Indonesia will be part of reconstructing Palestine and helping in building the hospital again, etc.
Right.
And also, talking about
you want to hold this book to make
I'm very nervous because Indonesia, we put a lot of attention, we put our minds to Palestinians. Also, we're talking about it on the news, on social media, but also talking about your friends or as Palestinian also. What do you think we can do to help to put more to talk about it all the time, and then
to support the freedom of Palestine?
Remember that one of the main wars that Israel is launching against our people is the war of narrative. They don't want our story to be heard abroad.
The what?
They don't want our stories to be heard. For this, they kill your fellow journalists. 174 journalists were killed in 1 year. Why they kill journalists? Because they don't want them to transmit the messages and the crimes. Yesterday, they made a statement against the only 6 journalists remaining in Jabalia. And they said they're terrorists and they warned them. They said it in public. They don't hide it. They named their names. Anas Sharif, the only remaining 6 journalists. And they told them, you're terrorists and you're going to be punished for this. This means threatening them to be killed. And for this, they destroyed the 17 media agencies in Gaza, including the press club or the press house. So we always have to talk about this. We always have to remind ourselves, because the Palestinian story should not be absent from the media, even if we know about it. So what we can do as Indonesians, of course, we have to spread the word always. We share stories, we share videos, because this affects, the more you share, the more you talk, this affects other media. It's not only Indonesia, because this is how Twitter works and Instagram, and so the more we talk about it, the more we make the Palestinian story online.
Yeah.
So it's not only in Indonesian, you know,
Yeah.
like when you share a YouTube, a video, or you talk, then this is not limited to Indonesian audience. So
Yes.
this means this will attract the attention of other audience who are not aware of what's happening. Because remember, there is also, even the social media, they launch a war of what we call it against the Palestinian content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some words you cannot write in Arabic in Facebook. Shaheed, for example. Or attack, even the word attack.
Yeah.
You say Israeli attack, they hide the
Take down.
content.
Yeah.
So it's very important you help us in this, you know.
It's a really good movement though by this book. And anyway, by your explanation before, how do you hope your writing explains Gaza to people by this book?
You know,
How do you hope?
In the book, I don't just only mention the stories.
Yes.
I reflect on the past of Gaza City. So if I mention a street, I talk about the history of the street. Because this street no more exists. This building is no more there. Even the Indonesian hospital now, it's no more there. It's part of the memory. So in the book, I provide Gaza as life as it is in Gaza during the war, and reflect on the past of the place. And it's like, I would say, 3 components: actual life, events, information about the place and the characters, and emotion.
Yes.
Which is my personal, you know, as an author. So Gaza is there with all its details. You know, in the book you see all Gaza streets, quarters, towns, villages, camps, and you feel you're familiar with the people. And unfortunately,
Do you also put picture in this book?
no, at the end of this Indonesian edition, they took the picture that I used to put on my Facebook, which I took myself. So it's like my narrative through images.
Yeah.
I see.
It's like my own. It's like a book, but through images. You know.
Yeah.
Through which you can see the life, how it developed.
I see.
It went on through in the last 3 months I lived in Gaza. So you know, like yesterday when I was in the session, one of the main characters of the book was killed, and I was giving the speech in
Just yesterday?
Yesterday,
Oh,
and my wife
my
she
deep condolence.
texts me, you know, because she knows he's my wife.
Yeah.
I talk about him. Many days I talk about him. Wafi. Then. You know, I couldn't concentrate even at the end of the talk, and when I was saying the book. So here, those victims exist. Here, they don't die. They don't disappear. Here, Gaza, as it was, will remain. And we're going to rebuild it again, of course, definitely, but this will take time. But I mean, Gaza as we know it.
Yeah.
So this amazing city, you know, which they intend and they meant to kill not the persons, even the stone. They were killing the stones and killing the trees. Some of the trees in Gaza, my friend, they are 500,000 years old, the olive trees. You know, these are all religions, older than Islam, older than Christianity, older than Judaism. They uproot them. No killer in history, no assassin in history did this before.
Yeah. So that's how you give a picture how the condition in back in Palestine, not only for Indonesians but through this book, hopefully to the world. How
absolutely.
you feel
It's been
emotionally.
translated to 16 languages.
It's been translating to 60 languages.
60?
Yeah, 16.
Yeah,
16.
16
Oh, 16.
languages.
All right.
So I hope more people read this, more people know, more people aware of what's been happening.
Is there any other language that you want this book to be translated?
No, I think it's going to be translated to more languages. I don't know. No. Of course, it's not going to be translated to the whole world, you know. But at least, I think I would say I'm glad that at least those stories of the victims are arriving to the audiences. Now we're talking about Wafi, this person.
Yeah.
And then in Jakarta, you know. It's very important that those stories are kept alive until justice is imposed in Palestine.
Hopefully very soon.
Okay. Maybe you want to tell to our audience audiences about this book? Why do they need to read this book, and where can they get this book from?
No, it's published in Indonesia, of course, by Noura of the Mizan. But you know, sometimes it's not enough to know. You should be equipped with knowledge and information, and I assume that this book provides us with the justice to be emotional about Palestine. So the life stories, the vivid information, the actual details, and it's not numbers. The only thing that I try always to avoid is talking about the martyrs and the victims and the buildings and the places are as numbers. Here they are lives that can be restored through reading. And I hope I managed to do this in my writing.
Hopefully.
Amen.
Amen to that. Okay.
Also, this is about hope.
Yeah.
Dan detikers
about the victims as well.
For the victims
For all the
and the
victims.
victims. Jadi detikers juga yang seperti yang tadi udah disampaikan juga sama penulisnya langsung bahwa sebetulnya kita juga teman-teman di Palestina, saudara-saudara kita di Palestina juga berharap kita untuk menyuarakan apa yang sebetulnya mereka rasakan. Dan ini bukan fiksi, ini bukan cerita, ini adalah
It's
memoir.
a true story, ya.
Yeah, it's a true story yang dialami langsung, ya, yang oleh Mr. Atef juga, yang tentunya kamu ingin tahu dari perspektif yang berbeda. Karena selama ini mungkin detikers sering menonton juga di sosial media gitu ya. Seperti apa yang terjadi. Tapi di sini akan lebih banyak sisi emosionalnya. Dan tentunya juga ya ini mengenai harapan teman-teman atau saudara-saudara kita di Palestina juga.
Bener.
Ya.
Harapan dan bersyukur sih. Lewat buku ini mestinya kita juga ya tentu bisa punya harapan lebih banyak untuk Palestina. Bisa menyuarakan kemerdekaannya begitu. Bagaimana perjuangan mereka. Dan juga bersyukur bagaimana kita saat ini bisa hidup dengan sangat baik begitu ya di Indonesia.
Termasuk juga bersyukur kita hidup di negara yang juga sangat vokal menyuarakan kemerdekaan untuk Palestina sebetulnya ya. Jadi kita juga sebetulnya nggak punya rasa takut. We don't have to worry or we don't have to be fear to have a voice for Palestinians people because Indonesia, hopefully all of Indonesians juga punya suara yang sama. Also have the same voice for Palestinians. Gitu. Kak Edo mau menambahkan mungkin?
Iya, mudah-mudahan ini bukunya sudah bisa didapatkan saat ini ya dari penerbit
Noura Books.
Noura Books.
Noura, Noura Books ya. Dan kayaknya juga kalau di di search aja judulnya ya.
A Diary of Genocide.
Iya, bisa udahlah lebih gampang karena juga udah ada di bahasa Indonesia.
Benar sekali. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure for us to have you here. You are also going to Istiqlal.
I went this morning.
Oh, you went.
Yeah,
Okay.
tomorrow I'm going to the Writers Festival in Bondo in Bali.
Book and Writers Festival in Bali.
Book and Writers Festival in
Yes.
Bali. Coming back.